The locals in Briar Hollow always said the same thing: don't answer when the woods call you. At first, Lila Dawson thought it was just another Appalachian superstition like painting your door red or hanging iron horseshoes over the barn. But when you grow up in a valley surrounded by endless forest, you hear stories of voices that don't belong to people, of something old and patient that lives between the trees. Lila had moved away when she was 19, leaving behind the dark timberline that pressed against her childhood home like a silent army. But 20 years later, at 39, she returned, not for nostalgia, but for necessity. Her mother had died suddenly, and the old house was now hers alone. She took 2 weeks off from her job, packed her suitcase, and drove back into the Blue Ridge Mountains, telling herself that the old legends couldn't scare a grown woman anymore. The first night back, she couldn't sleep. The woods pressed against the windows like they remembered her. Every breeze seemed to carry a whisper. Around 2 a.m., she heard it, so faint she thought it was a dream. Lila, her name. Soft. Drawn out. Coming from the tree behind the house. She sat up, heart pounding. For a moment she almost called back. Old reflex. Something deep in her bones. But she remembered her mother's warning, told to her again and again as a child. If the woods ever call your name, don't answer. It's not calling for you. It's calling for your voice. So Lila stayed silent, gripping the blanket until dawn. The next morning, she tried to shrug it off. She went into town. Briar Hollow was still small, still quiet, and still full of people who acted like everyone's business was their own. Old Mrs. Rayburn at the diner asked if she'd heard anything strange yet, and Lila laughed it off, but the old woman just stared at her with cloudy eyes. They don't forget, Mrs. Rayburn whispered. The woods remember everyone who grew up here. Lila excused herself quickly, pretending she had errands, but the truth was her stomach felt tight the whole drive home. That night, the calling returned. Lila, bring back what you took. Her blood froze. She hadn't taken anything. What could it possibly mean? She didn't answer. She refused, but the voice kept repeating her name, softer and softer, until it faded into the wind. She barely slept. She kept the lights on like a scared child. On the third day, she started hearing footsteps in the woods. Slow. Heavy. As if something big was moving just out of sight. She told herself it was a deer. Or a bear. Or anything normal. But then she found something on the porch. A bundle of sticks, arranged in a shape that looked disturbingly like a human figure. Wrapped around its neck was a torn piece of cloth from one of her childhood dresses. She dropped it instantly and backed into the house, locking the door behind her. She was shaking when she called Sheriff Wilmore. He came, checked the property, and told her it was probably kids messing around. But kids don't know the color of a dress you wore 25 years ago. Kids don't mimic the exact stitching your mom used to mend a tear. Something was playing with her. Something that knew her. That night, she heard the voice again, but this time, it didn't call from a distance. It whispered right outside her bedroom window. Lila opened the door. I can't find my way home. She froze. That voice, she recognized it. It sounded like her own voice at 7 years old. Perfectly matched. Perfectly wrong. She covered her ears and prayed for morning. The next day, she went through old family boxes, desperate to understand what the woods wanted. She found an old photograph, herself at age 7. Standing in front of the tree, holding something in her hands. A small wooden charm carved like an animal, maybe a wolf or a fox. She didn't remember it at all. But on the back of the photo, written in her mother's handwriting, was a single line. If she returns it, she will be taken. If she keeps it, they will come. Her breath caught. Was this what the woods meant? She tore through every box and drawer trying to find the charm. Hours passed. Nothing. Finally, she realized, maybe the woods still had it. Maybe she had dropped it there years ago. Maybe this was about something she didn't even know she'd done. As she stood on the porch, staring at the forest, she heard the voice again. But this time it wasn't her name. It was her mother's. Lila, honey, come here. I need you to help me. Her mother's voice. Absolutely perfect. Desperate. Soft. Full of love. Tears filled Lila's eyes. For one aching moment, she believed. She wanted to believe. But her mother was dead. Still, she felt herself stepping forward. The wind shifted, and behind her mother's voice, Lila heard another whisper beneath it. The same whisper that had called her name on the first night. Low. Ancient. Something trying to imitate her mother, but not quite getting the edges right. She stumbled back and slammed the door. That night, everything changed. She woke to footsteps inside the house. Something was in with her. She grabbed her phone and turned on the flashlight. The beam caught a figure in the hallway, a tall, twisted silhouette made of shadow and movement and impossible limbs that brushed the ceiling. It didn't walk. It leaned like it was being pulled forward on strings. And it was holding something. A small wooden charm. The same shape as the one in the old photo. Its head tilted toward her. "You dropped this," the creature whispered, but the voice glitched, starting as her own childhood voice, then sliding into her mother's, then into something low and rough like gravel. Lila ran. She didn't think. She flew out the back door, barefoot, tearing across the yard as the thing followed her with horrible, slow steps. She didn't know where she was going until she realized she was running toward the woods. The woods wanted her to come in, and she was doing exactly that. At the tree line, she skidded to a stop. The forest was pitch black, silent, waiting. Something deep inside told her that if she stepped inside, she would never come out again. The creature behind her whispered, "Come home, Lila. We've been calling you for years." She turned. It was closer now. Too close. She could see its face, or what was left of one. It flickered between shapes, her mother's, her childhood self, a stranger, a hollow blank. It lifted the charm. Return what you lost. Suddenly, she understood. The charm wasn't just a trinket. It was a claim. Something the woods had given her as a child. Something she had unknowingly accepted. Something her mother had tried to hide to protect her. Lila made a choice. She grabbed the charm from the creature's hand and threw it into the forest as hard as she could. The trees swallowed it instantly. The woods exhaled. The creature shrieked, a sound that wasn't human or animal or anything that belonged on Earth. It twisted violently, its shape collapsing like smoke sucked into a vacuum. The wind roared as if the forest itself was sucking the creature back into its depths. But then something else tried to grab Lila. Cold fingers brushed her shoulder. The woods whispered her name one last time, pleading, furious, hungry. She didn't look back. She ran until the sun rose. By morning, she was miles from the house, stumbling onto the main road where a passing truck picked her up. Lila never returned to Briar Hollow. She sold the house, moved states away, built a life far from any forest. But sometimes, late at night, when everything is quiet and the wind brushes against her window, she swears she hears it again. Her name. Soft. Drawn out. Waiting. Because once the woods call you, they never stop.